For years, fans have been arguing about who Imu really is. Theories have stemmed from him being an alien from the moon, an original devil behind every devil fruit. Some even thought Imu was Queen Lily herself, hiding behind a new name. Then, in the middle of July, a Korean forum started to theorize that Imu's actually a parrot. It's super easy to ignore this theory, and it's refused to go away. It's crossed over into the English fanbase. While I thought, yeah, it's easy to debunk, the thing is, a lot of what they are suggesting is actually backed by evidence that's within the manga. So in this video, I'll be talking about how this theory came about, what evidence there is within the manga, and if there are any genuine counterarguments to Imu being a parrot. I'm confident that there are a few One Piece characters that are definitely not a parrot. These are the individuals who are subscribed to the channel. Only 10% of the people who watch these videos are subscribed, so if you enjoy the content and want to see more, hit the bell icon and the subscribe button for even more videos just like this. In the middle of July, when chapter 1188 dropped, the series was on a break, and it was during this time on a Korean forum, a user posted, "I just thought of something amazing. Imu's true identity is a parrot." Hundreds of users then started to pile evidence together, and a day later, a English-speaking Korean fan had translated all of the strongest points onto Reddit, crediting the Korean forum, and it pulled around 1,300 upvotes as the event came to be known as Parrotgate. On the 18th, Reddit mods started to post point-by-point rebuttals, and then it really blew up when TikTok compilations started to be released on the 20th of July. So this Imu parrot theory basically is reduced to Imu looks like a bird. The full Korean version is an alternate history of the whole world. Before the Void Century, persecuted animals gained human form and power through mysterious fruits. Joy Boy was a monkey, Imu was a parrot, the two classic shoulder animals of pirate fiction. Joy Boy wanted a world where every living creature could be free, while Imu, the creature that repeats words without understanding them, copied the shape of Joy Boy's power without grasping the freedom underneath it, as it then decided to choose revenge on the humans who caged him. The fallout between the monkey Joy Boy and the parrot Imu resulted in the Great War of the Void Century. The winners of this war are supposedly the world government, which is why the celestial dragons keep humans on leashes and ride them like animals. The will of D becomes Dobotsu, which is Japanese for animal, carried by bloodlines who refuse to forget what they used to be. And even the berry currency fits, since animals would have traded in fruit before money. Roger reaches the final island, learns the complete truth, and laughs until he can't stand, as the theory suggests that this world is ruled by somebody's pet. Now let's look at the Japanese wordplay. In Japanese, a large parrot is Omu. When it's split, O is the kanji for king, and Mu is the unique first-person pronoun that Imu canonically uses for himself. And instead of Imu saying you, he says thou. Nobody else in all of these chapters speaks like the way that Imu does, and it's lettered in a font that Oda reserves for Imu alone. So the O plus the name Mu that Imu refers to himself as, it spells parrot. Like how Laugh-Tail was always within Raft-Hell, and how Nika was always there as a sound effect for a grin. Imu backwards is Umi, the sea, and Mu being a legendary sunken continent, so Oda may have picked a name that points at several directions at once. The number 16 also is intrinsically linked to Imu. The I reads as 1, Mu as 6, so 16. The Leluzia weapon fired 16 beams. Imu's halo carries 16 eyes. Even Doflamingo's ultimate attack is the 16 Holy Assassin's bullets. So yeah, Imu could mean parrot, or it could mean all of these other things that he's incorporated into the name. Even if the theory is totally wrong, people are having a lot of fun with it, talking about the king of the parrots versus the king of the pirates. In general, every devil fruit name doubles its core word. You have the Gomu Gomu, Mera Mera, Opi Opi. There are hundreds of devil fruits across all of the One Piece chapters, but there's one exception that doesn't follow this rule. In chapter 1179, we saw Imu's devil fruit revealed as the Akuma no Mi, the devil fruit. This is the only devil fruit in One Piece that won't say its word twice. The fruits repeat because their namer repeats. It's a parrot saying each name the way a parrot says everything twice, and his own fruit is the one name that he never said back to himself. I mean, it's honestly ridiculous, but when you think about it, there is some genuine truth to this. I mean, what other explanation is there that Imu's devil fruit doesn't repeat itself aside from the meme parrot theory? Imu's entire psychology terminology is repetition. He refers to Luffy as Nika and Joy Boy, Zebek as Davy Jones, Loki as Nidhogg. Whoever stands in front of them, he refers to them as the names of whom he knew. He states outright that the forces between the First Great War will play the same roles today, and he's staging this rerun himself because in chapter 1186 it reveals that the giants were broken 800 years ago through their children being taken hostage, and on Elbaf his forces ran an identical move. So the plan is to cause another rising of the sea levels, another Joy Boy to be killed. He's literally repeating what he already did in the Void Century. The 19 blades that are around the empty throne were the other founder's oath that nobody would ever sit there. Imu now uses these weapons to summon from his own personal arsenal. Bohu drains Luffy's life. Then there's weapons like Frag, Gram and Longinus which were handed to his god knights. Even his immortality may have been given to him by somebody else via the Opi Opi no Mi surgery based off of Ivankov's own theory. So yeah, everything Imu wields, wears or inhabits or rules over was made by someone else, and there's a specific animal that operates like this. It's a parrot. Chapter 1044 defines the Awakened Nika as a power limited only by the imagination of its user. It's the freest ability within One Piece against Imu the ruler, who can only copy others and reenact what's already been done. So it's essentially imagination versus imitation. Chapter 1188, we hear a voice call out into the void asking whether if anyone is there. The answer returns, "This is Mu." Imu, who is this? As the voice replies, "I'm Joy Boy." So the first contact, which led to the entire conflict of the Void Century, appears to be a phone call between two voices in the dark. One of them is teaching the other its name. It's like a storyboard of a man befriending a talking bird without ever showing the bird. Imu keeps the alien font even inside of his own 800-year-old memory, while Joy Boy's I is written in the same childlike hiragana that Oda gives to Luffy. Why is it that Imu cannot go outside? The most powerful being alive spends his eternity inside of a sealed sunlit room at the top of Pangaea Castle. He appears to have butterflies, flowers and attendants, but the moment that Imu teleports to Elbaf, he collapses and coughs up blood. Some have stated that his body is not meant to withstand the outside world, and the Gorosei try to talk Imu out of going at all. So the parrot theory looks at this enclosed garden that its owner is confined to, as they refer to it as the most expensive birdcage in history. Imu possesses everything and can access none of it, while Luffy owns a ship and a hat and can go wherever he pleases. Imu seems to be trapped like a bird in a cage. Now the most credible pillar of this theory comes from the Popol Vuh, which is the Maya creation text. In that story, between the destruction of one world and the creation of the next, a gigantic macaw called Vukub Kaku declares himself to be the sun and the moon of the Twilight Age. In reality, he is neither. His shrine is just jewels and vanity. So the hero twins wait beneath the fruit tree where he feeds. They shoot him down with a blowgun and strip away the eyes that made him look divine. Once the false god falls, the true sun and moon finally rise. If you line this up against what we see within One Piece, the Harley text tells us that the world has already ended twice, and that we're living in the Third Age. Ruling over that age from the highest point on the planet is a self-proclaimed god whose true enemy is Nika, the actual sun waiting to rise. In the Mayan myth, the false god falls to shooters. One Piece already has a designated sniper. His weapon is a slingshot. This is what humans have spent centuries using to knock birds out of trees. His name matches Uso, the word for lie, and Aesop, the ancient fable teller whose animals act out human truths. In chapter 1177, Usopp stood back up in front of Imu and called the invasion of Elbaf cowardly as he demanded a fair fight. He ends up getting blasted. The parrot theory suggests that Usopp may be the key to bringing down Imu. He ends up becoming the liar who shoots down a god, and nobody believes him because it sounds like an Usopp story. Imu's conversion power is called Domi Reversi, and it's named after Reversi, a disc-flipping board game that's sold today as Othello. Othello, the game, is named after the Shakespeare play. The villain of that play is Iago, the Whisperer, who famously has more lines than the title character. Iago is also the name of the most famous parrot in modern fiction, sitting on Jafar's shoulder in Aladdin. Then in chapter 1188, Luffy transforms into a genie, further building upon the Aladdin imagery. The screenwriter of Aladdin, Terry Rossio, explained that Jafar poured his emotions into Iago. The parrot carries all of the rage so that the sorcerer stays calm. Compare this to Emu. He barely reacted when rocks broke into his room. He severs limbs mid-sentence, and the only thing that cracks him are ghosts from the Void Century. There is a real flower, commonly known as the parrot flower, or the parrot lily, and you can look this one up, the Princess Lily. Who is Emu obsessed with? It's the woman whose portrait hangs in his flower room, whose great mistake he's still complaining about 800 years later, and whose descendant he has ordered to him alive. The parrot lily is the Princess Lily. So Emu was never Joy Boy's bird at all, he was Lily's. It would explain the portrait that he claims to despise yet keeps on his wall. It would explain the fixation on one bloodline's blue-haired woman, and for once the timeline actually agrees with this, because in the 1188 call, Emu already has his name before Joy Boy ever speaks to him. Somebody named the bird first and it wasn't Joy Boy. Real lilies are poisonous to birds, so of all the flowers in that room, the one thing a parrot could never touch is a lily. While people have had a lot of fun with the parrot theory, there are some glaring issues with it. Firstly is the name Nerona. Chapter 1179 introduces Saint Nerona Emu as a royal of a named family, one of the first 20 founding monarchs, and a ruler who reigned over his own kingdom during the Void Century. Royal family as a parrot. This being has been seen to wield swords, sit on a human-scaled throne, and answer the famous phone call. The partial transformation on Elbaf is horns, a tail, fangs, and claws. This is a demon design from head to toe. The wings don't really prove anything, because this world hands wings to Skypians, Lunarians, Seraphim, Marco, and a literal talking newsbird. On top of that, Sabo reported seeing someone on the throne, not something or a parrot. Although in chapter 1165 it's established that even eyewitnesses at God Valley perceived only an enormous black monster. The censoring of Emu's true form operates inside of the universe of One Piece itself, it seems. So it's possible that nobody in this world knows what's under that robe either. The biggest issue with the parrot theory is that it picks its conclusion first and then works its way back. When you do this, literally every single thing starts to look more than a coincidence. Every shape, sound, and myth that Oda has ever written can somehow be shoehorned into your theory. So you're literally piling together a ton of weak clues as opposed to theories that have several strong clues. One Piece pretty much animal codes nearly its entire cast. Luffy is monkey themed, and he is never growing a tail. Being parrot themed and being an actual parrot are two very different claims. So is Emu an actual parrot? I don't personally think so. Is he parrot themed? It's very plausible. Maybe there is a bird-like nature to the Akuma no Mi. But is he an actual parrot wearing a crown? I think this is a total long shot. There are a ton of serious Emu theories, and the parrot theory started to merge these theories into itself. Like the moon theory, fans had started to draw images of a parrot arriving from the moon. The first devil fruit theory also got folded into the parrot theory the moment that the naming convention started reading as parrot speak. Then there's the vessel theory, where Mu is some entity piloting a body called Emu. This fits the bird completely, since a small creature operating a much grander vessel is exactly what this theory has been describing. Now, there was a parrot theory before Parrotgate. This asks the question, where did all of the parrots within One Piece go? It's been theorized that the world government exterminated them. The logic does hold up scarily well. Parrots live for the better part of a century and they repeat what they hear. So in a world where an entire era was erased, a parrot repeating the stories from centuries earlier is a security leak for the world government. So yeah, scrubbing the Void Century from history takes more than just smashing poneglyphs. You have to silence every creature that is still carrying the sound from that era. Oda's played off every single classic pirate trope. The peg leg went to Zeph, the hook went to Crocodile. An eye patch pirate has been publicly promised for the finale, but the most famous pirate accessory, a parrot, has never once appeared within the manga. Fans have even theorized that there's a handful of surviving parrots waiting at the one island that the world government hasn't managed to touch. The parrots repeating the laughter of every crew that ever arrived there, Joy Boy's laugh along with Roger's stacked on top of it, an island that laughs at you when you arrive. And according to the fan theories, this is why it's called Laugh-Tale. Let's consider Zunisha, Joy Boy's comrade who has walked the sea for 800 years over a crime that nobody will name. Now, if you give Emu a mimic's voice, the question then becomes, what if the crime was obedience? Zunisha followed an order that was delivered in the voice of Joy Boy, as it was parroted from Emu. Then there's the world tree Elbaf runs on Norse cosmology, and Oda has now cast 2 of Yggdrasil's 3 animals. Nidhogg, who gnaws the roots, is Loki's fruit, the one that Emu greeted as traitor. Rototska, the messenger squirrel, is Ragnir, who took one look at Emu and wanted blood. The Norse myth has a 3rd animal. It's an eagle perched at the crown of the tree, feuding with the serpent below, while the squirrel ferries insults between them. This seat is the great bird at the top of the world, which is the one that Oda hasn't filled. There just so happens to be a being who lives at the highest point of the planet, with ancient history against both of the others. While personally I don't think that Emu is a feathers and beak parrot wearing a crown, I think that there is a parrot themed hole within the story of One Piece. The repetition, the cage, the missing pirate bird, the fruit name that won't double, the bird god's chair still sitting empty in Oda's Yggdrasil, so there is certainly a missing piece that Emu could fill with this parrot theme. I really do hope that Oda doesn't do something as ridiculous as Pigeon Eren from Attack on Titan. I've heard people claiming that if this parrot theory is true, then they're going to drop One Piece forever. But yeah, we have reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. Do you think Emu is literally a parrot themed villain, or none of the above? Which piece of evidence is the one that you can't shake? And which part of this theory do you think makes it fall apart? If there's anything that I've forgotten to mention, then let me know by continuing the discussion in the comments. And lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this one, and I look forward to seeing you in my next One Piece video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.